Greetings, one and all, and welcome to Volume 6, Episode Number 1 of the NFL Talk Series Team by Team Previews. Today on the show, we are moving things on down, or I should say up. We're moving things up to the NFC North, where we will be previewing the Green Bay Packers. That's right. The Green Bay Packers, the one team where their fans wear cheese on their heads. That was really stupid, wasn't it? I couldn't think of anything better. But in all seriousness, we are going to be previewing the Green Bay Packers today. And as usual, before we get started, a couple of notes to get to. First, some poll updates. And I have them for you. This first thing we're going to be getting to. Will Dez Bryant or Tony Romo get injured this season? And this one has been a very popular poll. I'm going to come right out and say it. 56% of the votes, both will get hurt. 22% of the votes, just Romo will get hurt. 15% of the votes, neither will get hurt. And 7% of the votes, Dez will get hurt. It's an interesting poll. Interesting to see where the NFL Talk Nation and all the Cowboys haters stand. It's hard to predict injuries, but it's sort of fun to see what people say. There have been 90 votes on who will have more sacks in 2016, Khalil Mack or J.J. Watt. Khalil Mack has 39% of the votes with 35 votes total, and J.J. Watt's got 55 votes with 61%. Those are the latest two polls that I have. Remember, you can keep voting on all the polls until the end of August, when they will wrap up. Also, one more of the poll updates. What does Cincy's crystal ball say? This was interesting to see the spectrum here, but this one only had 56 votes. Not as many voted on this one. However, the winner by a mile, at least currently, 79% of the voters, that's 44 votes, say they'll get to the playoffs, but they'll choke again. That is something else, isn't it? 16% of the votes, they'll definitely miss the playoffs. That's 9 votes. And then just 3 votes, 5%, say they're going to kick butt in the playoffs and have a solid stretch. Look, I can't help but wonder if the Bengals actually are cursed, postseason-wise. Yeah, I know, it just seems a little odd. How many years have they gone? Was it 25 years? Bengals playoff drought. I'm literally Googling this right now. Bengals have gone 25 seasons without a playoff win. Detroit Lions are second with 24 seasons since their last playoff win. And the Bills have gone 20 seasons since their playoff win. The most seasons without a playoff appearance, the Buffalo Bills have gone 16 seasons without a playoff appearance. Some interesting statistics for you guys. Also, I know that I have been somewhat lacking in my in the amount of times I've been posting the podcast up on social media. Just have not been able to. So hopefully by the time you listen to this, which it'll be Friday, you will be able to see all of the recordings, all the podcasts up on social media over the past few days, because I'll admit I haven't put them up yet, a lot of them. So you guys will be getting this tomorrow, because it is Thursday right now. So you listen to this Friday, hopefully I'll have a lot more of them up. Also, as usual, today being Friday, although for me it's Thursday, all this is just too confusing. So you guys will be listening to this Friday, which is when you'll get it. So it's another edition of the weekly article. This week out of ESPN, the top 100 players in the NFL of 2016. Hashtag NFL rank on ESPN. A couple of the top players here. J.J. Watt is at number 1, Aaron Rodgers number 2, Tom Brady at 3, Ndamukong Suh at 4, Rob Gronkowski at 5, so on and so forth. So you guys can check that out. I'll be posting that up on all my social media. So don't forget to check that out, because it's another edition of the weekly article. All right, we've already gone about 5 minutes into the show. Almost 6, actually. Scratch that. So time to talk some Green Bay Packers. And according to Mike McCarthy, the Packers head coach, Aaron Rodgers is in the best shape of his career. If he's in the best shape of his career right now at 32, what the heck does that mean? Back in 2011, he had 4,643 passing yards with 343 completions, 68.3 completion percentage, and he totaled 45 touchdowns to 6 interceptions. I thought that was the prime of his career. That was back when he was in his late 20s. He's in the best shape of his career. I'm scared to see what the Packers' offense is going to look like, especially getting Jordy Nelson back. And hopefully he doesn't get hurt in the preseason again. Nelson said that conditioning is his biggest concern after sitting out all of last season, and that would be understandable completely. Also, chemistry between him and Aaron Rodgers seems to be somewhat of an issue, too. He missed the entire season last year, and he's most likely going to miss all of preseason. So, not really any danger then of him getting hurt. But it will be something to watch. How soon will Aaron Rodgers and Tom Brady, Aaron Rodgers and Jordy Nelson be able to click again? Because, I mean, Rodgers, he had a solid season last year, but it wasn't like some of the seasons that we had seen in the past from him without Nelson as his go-to guy. And Nelson may not be an elite receiver by some standards, but he is well loved by Aaron Rodgers. You'll look at his stats from last season. Only a 60.7 completion percentage. The worst of his career since 2007. The worst of his career in a season when he played all 16 games. Also had 3,821 yards. That is a 500-yard drop-off from last season. 238 yards per game. Also, the worst of his career when he's played all 16 games. And just 31 touchdowns. Not a huge mark for him either. And, you know, Devontae Adams, Randall Cobb, they were serviceable enough. Richard Rodgers, the tight end, but it wasn't anything like the Packers of old. They didn't even win the division. Now that is shocking, considering the other components of the NFC North. They didn't even win the division. Things are looking bright for Eddie Lacy as well. He had a solid game in last week's preseason game, rushed 9 times for 45 yards and a touchdown. And via Roto World, he was, quote, taking the rock and bursting through the hole in a no-nonsense fashion, unquote. And he slimmed down. He has lost weight. Saw him over the offseason. He did look a tad chubby. Now, he's a guy that can bowl you over. He is a trucker. But with a loss of some weight, I mean, he still looks big. He still looks big if you see him out in the football field. But hopefully it'll add a little bit more element of speed to his game. Because the Packers are going to have to come with a balanced attack. You can't just have Aaron Rodgers chucking it all over the place because the secondary is going to back up and the wide receivers are going to get double covered. That's just all there is to it. No matter how great a quarterback is, they can't throw it 60 times a game every game. It's just too predictable. All right, moving on. The tight end position. Richard Rodgers. The Rodgers to Rodgers connection is real. Even though last season he really didn't stand out that much. Just 510 receiving yards, 8 touchdowns, only had one game with over 100 receiving yards. Only 32 yards per game for Richard Rodgers. Mostly, he's just known for that one Hail Mary against the Lions, that shut the Lions' season down completely and kept the Packers' hopes alive. The touchdown bomb, the most amazing play of 2016 by many, by the standards of many. I mean, if you see it, it was an incredible play. Did have a couple more of those similar to that in the offseason, or I should say in the postseason. Rodgers is a fantastic quarterback. I mean, you watch him play, his arm, incredible. His accuracy, spot on. Especially when he's falling away to his left. A lot of people thought that Richard Rodgers was the best receiver on the team last year, which is saying something. He didn't even put up that big of a stat line. We'll see how he can perform this year. They did add Jared Cook, the tight end, formerly of the St. Louis Rams. I don't expect him to be that much of a factor. I mean, with the with Jordy Nelson coming back, that should open up things for Davante Adams and Randall Cobb. I expect that they will be able to have better seasons than they did last year. I mean, Randall Cobb, he admitted himself just recently that he struggled in 2015. He was the number one wide receiver, but he doesn't perform well under the pressure of the number one role. The season before, let's compare stats. In 2014, 91 catches, 1,287 yards, 12 touchdowns. In 2015, 79 catches, 829 yards, 6 touchdowns. A significant drop-off. He does not function well under the pressure of the number one wide receiver role. And that's all going to change because Nelson is back. Also expect Davante Adams, barring injury, to have a solid season. And, I think they're going to involve Randall Cobb a bit in the rushing attack as well, which, we've seen in the past. He's been able to do that. He's got 40 career carries. Back in 2012, he had 132 rushing yards, and in 2015 he recorded the most rushes of his career in season with 13. So I think they're going to involve him a little bit in the run game. We're going to see a little bit of that. The defense I expect will be solid, not a ton of change there, but once again, time is running out, so time to get to the X Factor and the record prediction for the Green Bay Packers. And in all honesty, I'm going to go with the X Factor first. In all honesty, I think that Jordy Nelson's going to be the most exciting player to watch on the Packers this year. Seeing how he can rebound from missing the entire season, see how he's going to be able to jump back into that number one receiver role. I'm going to give him the X Factor here for the Packers. Jordy Nelson gets the X Factor because I think there's still a bit of uncertainty surrounding him. I know it's one missed season, but it's one entire missed season. So Jordy Nelson gets the X Factor award. As for the Packers' record prediction, so far the Packers are 2-0 in the preseason. Notice on the NFL.com it says that they tied 0-0 with the Colts in the Hall of Fame game, but obviously it was canceled, so that's not the case. Record prediction for the Packers: 12-4, division win. I think they'll have a great season. Getting Nelson back, getting Eddie Lacy at a better weight. That sounds awkward, but it's true. So the Packers go 12-4 and win the division. All right, that's going to do it for tonight. We'll see you guys tomorrow in team-by-team previews on NFL Talk.